All right, Miles, let's talk about the Ohio State University Buckeyes program here for a little bit. Of course, this is a program that's very quickly returning or trying to return to its glory to back to winning national titles. They had a really strong offseason, bringing a lot of top flight recruits. They're having to move on from CJ Stroud. We've talked about the quarterback battle ad nauseum, but we have an interesting report among one of their recruits that I think is a great sign for Ohio State going forward. And I think Buckeyes fans will really appreciate this.
Yeah, Nick, I think this is going to be a very interesting story for the Buckeyes fans. Maybe start out a little bit in a way that you think is kind of controversial, but I think we're going to take it back home in a way that you will find very, very interesting. So I want to ask the Buckeyes fans, though, in the comments below, Nick, talking about recent success, you think of the wide receiver position for Ohio State, whether it's recruiting, whether it's players on the field, players going to the NFL, they have been on top of it lately. So I want to know, though, not necessarily all the guys you have right now, but through the history of Ohio State, who is your favorite Ohio State wide receiver of all time? Literally an endless amount of answers. So let us know in the comments below, who's your favorite Ohio State wide receiver of all time? And nonetheless, Nick, let's go ahead and get on in today's story.
All right, Mai. So one of the things that happened this recruiting cycle, probably the biggest story in the entire recruiting landscape, was, of course, top prospect for the 2024 class, Dylan Raiola, decommitting from Ohio State and then deciding to commit to Georgia. One of the ramifications and potential concerns from Ohio State was, are they going to lose any other top flight recruits because of this shift from Columbus to Athens? It doesn't appear to be the case. This is according to the spun.com. Mai, if you can throw up the report, I will go ahead and read from it. All right, here we go. With Marvin Harrison Jr. expecting to be in contention for the Heisman Trophy this season, the tradition of elite Ohio State wide receivers, like we were talking about, looks like it will continue. As for Harrison's potential successor, there's been talk about the Buckeyes' latest five-star commit, Jeremiah Smith, at the wide receiver position, could choose to go elsewhere. According to one recruiting analyst, that won't be the case. Before committing to Ohio State, the South Florida native had drawn interest from several schools closer to home, including Miami, Florida, and Florida State. Two-time defending national champions Georgia also ended up on Smith's final list of schools. But here's the most important part. 24/7 sports director recruiting Steve Wiltfong says he has no doubts that Smith, who is the cousin of Seattle Seahawks quarterback Geno Smith, I didn't know that. That's actually really cool, will remain committed to the Buckeyes before suiting up in Columbus next fall. All right, Mike. So first of all, this guy at 24/7 Sports, they are one of the preeminent organizations in terms of college football recruiting. They're not right 100% of the time, but they're pretty darn close. And you don't have the director coming out and saying these things just on a whim. He has his sources. He has connections. They have boots on the ground reporting. So to me, this means they absolutely almost 100%, 99.99, whatever you want to say, believe Jeremiah Smith will stay Ohio State Buckeye and will not go to Georgia. Of course, this is a great sign for Ohio State. Smith is a fantastic player and will be a fantastic player. But I do think some of the notions and the rumors going on in the media of that, losing Raiola was going to have a lot of recruits fly out the window. I do think looking back on it now, I think that was kind of silly, right? Because Raiola is one guy, is one prospect, really nice prospect. Hope he has a great college career. But Ohio State has had just an army of five-star recruits and elite NFL talent at pretty much every position over the past decade or so. Why would one top flight recruit change all of that? It wouldn't. It doesn't make any sense. Of course it wouldn't. So it's no surprise to me at all now that we can take a step back and look at it, why Smith stays and looks like he will continue to stay committed to Ohio State. There's no reason for him to decommit. Raiola had his reasons. Obviously, those are his own. But in terms of the long-term health and success of the Ohio State Buckeyes program on the recruiting side, it appears to be sound and stable. So Ohio State fans can rest easy. Jeremiah Smith seems likely to stay at Ohio State. I don't think he's going anywhere, and the recruiting pipeline will continue to remain strong. All right, Miles, enough about me. What do you think of this report here about Ohio State?
Yeah, Nick, I think that nobody really needs to worry because if you go back and look at the numbers here, Raiola decommitted from Ohio State when he was there back in mid-December. So Smith committed in December, so he either knew or has known what was going on. And I think if he was going to decommit because Raiola wasn't going to Ohio State and he was going somewhere else, he'd have done it a long time ago. As soon as Raiola decommitted, he'd be like, all right, we're package deal, we're going to go look at teams together around the country and try to come in together. That's not the case, Nick. I don't think he was there to be with Raiola. I think Smith came to Ohio State because he saw the literal outpouring, dam-breaking amount of wide receivers bursting through the doors of Ohio State lately. You see Jackson Smith-Njigba, you see Garrett Wilson, you see Chris Olave, you see Marvin Harrison Jr. There's so many good wide receivers coming out of Ohio State. It is not even funny. You can't even turn the corner and not see a potential all-pro player on the line at Ohio State. So I think Smith has recognized this, seen their ability to develop and utilize wide receivers in their system and how they get prepared for the NFL level. And he said, hey, maybe this is a school, a place that I should stay at. So I think Wiltfong is absolutely correct. And this guy, Steve Wiltfong, whenever I look at 24/7 Sports, I know he's the director of recruiting. He has his fingers on pretty much every single story. I always see something about him or a journal entry from him in stories as well. So this guy knows all about the recruiting world. So I think he's dead on about Jeremiah Smith wanting to stay at Ohio State. There's really not too much of a chance that he is going to be leaving. But Nick, I think this is really interesting. They bring this up this late in the cycle, but I don't think there's really a chance that Smith is going to shy away from Ohio State.
No, and one thing I want to leave on, Mike, it's just kind of an interesting tidbit, right? About we talked about the Geno Smith connection. I think Jeremiah Smith being his nephew, Aaron Nolan, the Ohio State quarterback commit that potentially replaced Raiola. Here is what Brave AI, the search engine, had to say about Aaron Nolan, real quick. He has similar physical tools and play style to Geno Smith. I'm just saying there's some kind of connection there. So maybe Jeremiah Smith looked at Aaron Nolan and saw a guy he just had some sort of natural connection with, similar to his uncle and Geno Smith. Whatever it is, it looks like Ohio State's going to be still in the recruiting game. There really should not have been any reason to worry, but now we can put it behind us and say, okay, the Raiola effect won't have anything on us in the long term. We're going to be sound both in 2024 and beyond.